everyone, and welcome back to Revv Evolution, and I'm your host Renee. And welcome to our motoring segment. And today we have for you the Mini Cooper SE, which happens to be an EV or electric vehicle. Hi guys, and welcome to once again the very brand new format of how we do car reviews. All right, and I'm not going to do the usual of just sitting in the car pointing to the screen and go, this is the screen, that's the steering wheel, and so on. We've come up with a whole new format where I'm actually having some guests to sit along with me along the drive and also discuss about the car. And joining me and helping me to do this task, I have two very special guests today. I have my good friend Gerard over here, and in the back seat we have Jesse. All right, so once again guys, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And helping me out on this once again new format. So Gerard, first question.
Sure.
Have you ever driven an electric vehicle, and what do you think about electric vehicles?
Yes, I have drove BMW M4 before.
Okay, right.
I find that the pickup speed is really good.
Okay.
The only downside about it is that it's a battery car.
Right. Okay.
So you can't feel the car.
Okay. So you're a real petrol head. You like the sound of the engine, the exhaust, and everything else. All right. So Jesse, what are your thoughts on electric vehicles? Yeah. What do you think basically of EVs?
So, Renee, what I think is that EVs are really good. This is the future of, automation. We all should move forward. It's sustainable, it's environmental friendly.
Okay.
So I think, those are my thoughts. But, personally, right, I find that the charging part of it is a bit of a hassle because we are all so busy, we work late hours sometimes. It's a bit tough to maybe find the time to charge.
Right.
So for me that is my take. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So just give a bit of information about the car that you're in, which happens to be the Mini Cooper SE, fully EV. Of course, it says it goes on a full charge between 200 to 240 kilometers range, which I think if you're looking at the number of available models of brands that are giving you, this is still, to me personally, I think something which, as a driver, I still be having that fear of range anxiety where I'm always be looking at my meter, wondering if there's enough power to charge. But the point about, you mentioned about charging stations, in Singapore especially, right at this moment, there are actually 3,600 charging stations, which I think for a size of Singapore is a lot. And with the Singapore's government's plan to actually increase to the number of charging stations to about 12,000 by the year 2025, which is, I think it's like maybe 2 years away. I think it's really impressive.
Fast,
yeah, it's very fast for a small country. And charging itself, when you're talking about charging, there's basically two types of charging. There's the AC charging and the DC charging. So for those of you who are not familiar, what is basically the difference? AC charging is like, example, when you go to your malls and everything, right? You have those charging stations. Most of the time, actually, a lot of these charging stations are free. Okay, but the only downside is that with AC charging, it takes you about a whopping 7 to 8 hours to get a full charge, which I think you're not going to park your car overnight in the mall and charge your car, right? So that's something that you want to do. It's probably good for a quick charge, if you want to get some power in and then drive up. And with DC charging, which is something which I personally love, and it's really expanding all over Singapore. DC charging is basically what we call fast charge, where you plug in your car and you can get it up to about 80% in less than half an hour.
That's good.
Yeah, which I think is a great idea because you can just grab your lunch or grab a coffee.
Okay, when you say AC and DC, what's AC and DC?
Alternating current and direct current. Okay, so that's what it means. It's basically like when your household products stuff. So it's the same thing. So DC charging is of course the way to go in terms of Singapore. And in Singapore, what happened last year? The Singapore Parliament, I don't know if you guys realize as well, they passed a bill where any new building coming out from this year onwards, or I think this year onwards, they must have electric charging stations built into their structure, which is going to, I guess, encourage a lot of Singaporeans, because I think for Singaporeans, most of us, right, we are staying in HDBs, and I think 70%, I believe, is the number of us are staying in HDBs, and you know, if there's no electric charging stations, it's going to be a bit hard for us to charge. But yeah, so that was basically answering your questions about charging. Okay, so now my other question for both of you: would you ever consider buying an electric vehicle down the road?
It all depends on the cost. Like, for example, how much is this EV going for, and the COE and all that.
Right. Okay. So example for the Mini Cooper SE, which is the one, this is actually going for 243, including COE. What the Singapore government has is actually they have this thing called the VES banding. So the banding actually gives you a rebate when you buy an electric vehicle. So you get about $25,000 off when you buy this model, which.
So they're actually encouraging people.
It's encouraging, yeah. So the government is actually encouraging you to get an EV. Yes.
What makes this Mini stands out among all the rest of the EV cars in Singapore?
Okay, yeah, good question. I think what Mini has done for when it comes to electrics, right? I feel that the Mini is going for the hardcore Mini fan. So, example, you're a Mini lover, right? And as I mentioned, when it comes to EVs, you in Singapore, and I think all over the world, especially, you're going to be spoiled for choice in terms of the different models that you can choose from now. Because end of the day, as a motorist and a driver, I think for you, everybody as well, the thing that we worry most about is how much can my car go on a single charge? I think that is the most important question. Even though Singapore is small, but people still have this worry that, hey, will my battery be enough? How far can I go? So that's the biggest concern. I think that for me, this car is actually more nimble, and what I love is the power, the power I get, the instantaneous power. And with this Mini Cooper, of course this is the Cooper S, you have the option of having sports mode, and gives the car extra more power as and when you need it. Unfortunately, you don't need pedal shifters because this is an electric car, so pedal shifters doesn't make sense because there's no gears.
What power are you talking about for this car?
Okay, so for the power of the car, for this Mini itself, it's 184 horsepower. This car has 270 Newton meters of torque, which for this size is really a lot of power in a very compact model.
Packs a punch, yeah?
Yeah, it does pack a punch. So, to wrap things up, once again, I want to thank Jesse and Gerard for joining me and giving me their thoughts about how they feel about this car. So, on behalf of Gerard and Jesse, I want to say thank you so much for joining us on Revv Evolution right here on our brand new format of car reviews.
Thank you.